Welcome to Around the Drafting Table, where we explore the fascinating world of architecture through engaging conversations with Utah's leading experts. I'm architect Kory Cox, your host and guide on this journey. In each episode, we'll delve into the essential topics that shape your vision, from understanding design principles to navigating the construction process. Whether you're dreaming of your first custom home, planning a renovation, or embarking on your mountain getaway project, our discussions will empower you with knowledge and insights. We'll speak with industry experts who will share real-life stories, answer your burning questions, and ensure that you feel confident every step of the way. So grab a seat at the table, and let's start building your dream together. Join us for Around the Drafting Table, where ideas take shape and visions become reality. Joining us today, we have Jim White. He works with USI. They supply doors and windows. Jim, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me, Kory. Happy to be here.
Our topic today is windows and operable glass walls for custom homes in alpine locations. First question, please tell everyone about your experience and the services that you offer with USI.
Yeah, so I've grown up in this business. I started sweeping the floor, just worked my way up all the way through the ranks. So I've been able to see windows and doors from all perspectives. I've been able to see them, I've delivered them, I've installed them, I've serviced them, I've actually helped build them. So I've been able to learn and grow, in the industry because of that experience.
Great. What types of windows do you offer for custom homes?
So at this stage of my career, at first I was I'd work up the ladder. I mean, you find one house that has lots of windows in it, and you look for a bigger house that has more windows. And so at
Hmm.
this stage of the game, I deal with the biggest, most custom homes in the state of Utah and kind of the surrounding area. And we specialize in trying to deliver the ultimate window and door experience for our clients.
Hmm.
And how do we do that? Well, first of all, um, we seek for the best in class products. You got to have a great product. If you have if the product's not good, then it's hard to make it great. If the ultimate experience great if the product's not good. So
Yeah.
anyway.
What
um,
are owners' key concerns then when they're talking to you about a window package?
I think key concerns, a lot of owners are concerned with energy efficiency. That seems to be kind of a hot
Yeah.
topic. These big homes, lots of windows in them. That's important. The other thing I would say is these owners that are building these homes are kind of unique
Hmm.
glimpses into the kind of lifestyle they've been able to create for themselves. So I think everyone wants to have something that's unique and kind of tailored to their lifestyle and some of the things they've accomplished in their life. So,
Absolutely. I think that all of us want to reflect our lifestyle within our homes, and it's no different for the high end as it is for anyone else.
sure.
What unique challenges do mountainside locations present for window selection and then later installation?
Great question. I would say that, you know, up, especially in Utah, a couple things. One is ultraviolet light. We have a lot of ultraviolet light here at elevation. So
Hmm.
ultraviolet light fades things a lot faster. So you got to make sure you're selecting a product that can withstand that light. Um, Otherwise, your windows are fading super fast. Your brand new windows in a 5-year-old house, you're faded already. So
Okay.
ultraviolet light, uh, energy efficiency is really important here because of the change in seasons and the change in temperature. So going from ultra hot to ultra cold
Hmm.
really kind of wreaks some havoc on your products. So again, finding a quality product that can withstand the temperature changes and deal with the cold here in Utah is really important.
So dealing with this ultraviolet then, is that something that's mostly a concern for like the frame of the window, or is that a concern for elements inside the home where the light is coming through the glazing and so you're putting like a film on the window to protect art and furniture and that kind of thing?
Yeah. Yeah. So both really. The ultraviolet light affects the frame as well as your interior finishes. So selecting, they make glass these days that really takes care or blocks as much ultraviolet light as you can block to protect those paintings or your
Hmm.
furniture on the inside. So you want to make sure that you select a glass that's going to do that really well. The frame also though does take a beating, and a lot of these custom homes, it's generally a darker color of window they pick, a black or a bronze. And those darker colors, as you know, in the sun are going to they're going to reflect that heat more. And so they're
Hmm.
going to take a beating and they fade faster. So your bronze or your black windows turn gray, and it just doesn't look great fairly soon if you're not paying attention to the product you select. So
Okay, let me. That's a good thing to be aware of then. See if an owner is interested in a very dark window frame, they just need to be aware that after a few years it's going to be lighter in color.
if you go with kind of more of a entry level
Hmm.
window and door product, yeah. And
So
so
that's dependent on the material of the frame as well. Are there materials that hold up better to UV light?
A lot of it has to do with what kind of finish you're using on the outside. So, for
Okay.
instance, this is a real easy lead into one of the products that we represent. It's a Marvin window. Marvin uses a 70% Kynar finish that helps
Hmm.
to reduce fade. So, Kynar is an additive that gets added to paint that helps reduce fading. The higher percentage of Kynar you have in your paint finish, the better off it performs. And so Marvin has kind of done a great job making sure that there's a high percentage of Kynar in there, and that reduces the fading. So, you're going to pay more for a Marvin window, but you look at buying a window that's less expensive up front, but fades quicker. What are you going to do when the window fades? You
Right.
know, your options are very limited and very expensive. So, I try to encourage people to spend more on a product that's going to last longer and look
Hmm.
better longer. Yeah, you're going to pay more up front, but in the end, you're better off.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I agree with you, particularly on very contemporary designs. There is such a significant percentage of glazing that we see. It's going to be one of the most important packages that they select. And so investing in the long-term durability of that product is, I think, a worthy spend.
yeah. Well, especially with custom homes. I mean, this isn't their first home usually, right?
Hmm.
This is something that you've worked really hard over your lifetime to be able to build. And, it's like, hey, you're spending a lot of money to make this amazing. Let's not shortchange ourselves by going with a product that's not going to stand up to the elements.
Absolutely. So working with architects, how do you determine which window styles and materials are best for a specific design?
That's it. That's a good one. I think a lot of it has to do with what the architect is asking out of that window.
Hmm.
If it's if it's really large glass, if it's small, clean lines, we need it to perform in a certain way with energy constraints, or it just really depends on what we're asking that window to do. Size of window, operability. So we carry a variety of different products, and that's something we tried hard to do, is try to have something for every application. You
Hmm.
know, these custom homes, just like their owners they vary in what people like, what they want. And so trying to find the right fit, we have a variety of products that can kind of fit each product or project best.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah,
from
so on a project that we were working
but
on together recently, we actually had a hybrid package where we had two different kinds of window that we were installing. Um, what drove that decision in the design process? And now that you're seeing them installed on site, how do you think that's coming out?
Uh, turning out amazing, actually. They're beautiful. Yeah, the hybrid package is one way. Having a variety of products is one way to try to help maybe hit a budget that someone's trying to hit. So a
Hmm.
hybrid, you use something that's a little less expensive in one area and something that's a little more expensive in another area, in the feature areas. That
Yeah.
way, you're able to hit a budget a little bit better. But again, what we're finding a lot of times is people are seeing the value of going with one product throughout the house.
Hmm.
And so they've been willing to upgrade that hybrid to a full-on package so they can keep everything looking exactly the same. But
Yeah.
hybrid is a good way for certain budgets to still look really great and do a better job of hitting a budget.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the project team. I thought that was a good strategy to try and bring the cost down a little bit. And then, both of the windows were a premium
Yep.
window.
Correct.
Both of them were really good windows. But the one that was a little bit less expensive, I think that we had strategized and placed them kind of higher on the wall, maybe in clear story areas where they're not quite as visible. And then the more premium of the two was the ones that you can, reach out and touch right in front of you there at viewing level.
Yeah. Well, and like as we've worked together, both of us, are looking kind of for that same thing. We both understand that, hey, this has to look good. I mean, we want everyone to look good, and if we're gonna mix packages, we're not gonna put something in there that doesn't look good together. And
Yeah.
so we've used our experience to be able to make sure that doesn't happen.
Okay, so outside of what we talked about already, what kind of options do owners have for customizing window sizes, shapes, finishes?
So lots of options. I mean, the options are really endless. It just
Hmm.
depends on, what you want to spend. It's really what it boils down to. We can get you know, glass panels that are 10 feet wide and 30 feet tall. So, if you want to go real crazy, you can get real crazy. And we're doing a lot of that stuff. So in
Yeah.
great rooms, let's say, some people will really like to kind of dress that up, or you get an amazing
Hmm.
view you're trying to capture. So we've got a lot of different ways to make that, kind of dream a reality for that great room or anywhere else in the house. So
Yeah.
it really just depends. A lot of it comes down to cost, and then we can take, just like we did on that hybrid package that we worked on, we can take and do that with even larger glass. Use one vendor for the great room to be able to pull off this really tall, amazing glass, but then
Hmm.
use something throughout the rest of the house that maybe is a little more cost effective, that you don't need to go, you know, real extreme to handle those other areas in terms of cost.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that 10 by 30 pan that you talked about, it's difficult to visualize what that really means without some kind of, image to put in front of everyone
sure,
who's listening in today.
sure, sure.
But that is a monumental size. It's
Yeah.
absolutely massive. And particularly if you stack a couple of them next to each other, you can have an entire wall of glass with only very little mullion between.
Yep. So we've got a vendor that a partnership that we're in. It's a company called Centec out of Texas, and they do these big glass walls
Hmm.
where it's basically butted insulated glass,
Okay.
10 feet wide by 30 feet tall, butted insulated, like you said, little to, in this case, no mullion. It's butted glass. You have structural sealant running vertically between the panes, but the way that you achieve, the engineering that you need for wind loading, that happens in the seal and at the head.
Hmm.
So it's a pretty intense structure at the seal and the head, and then the glass becomes more of more of kind of a structural component against wind load with that design. So
Yeah.
you get some really amazing glass walls without anything in the middle.
That would
So
be a very impressive installation. And in fact, it
yeah,
calls to mind the what is it? Apple's headquarters. I think they
yeah,
have like an exhibition space where they have this roof sitting on just a wall of glass that's like an oval or a circle shape, and there are no columns whatsoever.
yeah.
Um, Now, I will say that's much more difficult to accomplish in a mountain location with heavy snow than it is on the coast in California. Um, but a very impressive installation nonetheless.
Yep. No, agreed. And that's the thing. I think, that's where we kind of come in as the experts in how to deal with the climate that we're in. And this Centec product that I'm talking about is an insulated glass sandwich that's still going to provide a pretty amazing U value for you in that application in the mountains. So
Hmm.
we certainly don't want to sell anything that's not going to work here. So we've been able to partner with other companies that are able to, deliver the needs we have for the demands of our environment here.
Hmm. Okay, next question then. How does the customization process work? Or, put a different way, when do you begin working with an owner during the design process? And then what steps do you take them through to make sure that they get all the information that you have available?
So a couple ways that happens. A lot of times, the architect will introduce us to their client early in the process. If you're working on, hey, an architects, we love architects. Architects are extremely smart people, right?
Hmm.
Uh, and very professional, very successful. We work with a lot of them. I work with a lot of them. The key, what value I provide to you as an architect or any of the other architects is I specialize in these crazy window walls and all these other opportunities for your clients. So to introduce
Hmm.
me early on happens a lot. That way I can help the architect understand the limits or the capabilities of a certain window and door product so that you can design that into your structure. And instead of drawing something that doesn't work, you've kind of went through troubleshooting early on with the owner and me to make sure that, hey, well, we're going to actually design something that's buildable.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the ways. Other times it's the architect is already drawn and then invites me into the picture to help me help them make that become a reality.
Hmm.
And I laugh, but we're trying to push the limits a lot on these custom homes, right? Because
Yeah.
I mean, your owner wants something amazing. And so it's like, yeah, we can draw a small punched opening and put some glass in it, but that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to really find a way to help the owner define who they are through this amazing project that they're building. So,
Right. Yeah. A lot of times I feel like we're building homes and they have very functional purposes, but we're also building sculptures.
yeah,
These are meant to be works of art that showcase the lives of the people who live there.
yeah, for sure. And they really are. And that's why it's an exciting industry to be involved in, for sure.
Mhm. So as part of that, you have a very impressive showroom that I've been to a couple of times. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you have there and what owners tell you after visiting?
Yeah, so it's like when you go buy a really expensive car, you want to go test drive it, right?
Hmm.
So we've developed a showroom where we've got as much product as we can try to get in one place for owners to be able to come check it out and test drive it. See
Hmm.
how the doors are going to slide, see how a motorized door works, see how switchable glass looks. Uh, one of your favorites is those retractable screens coming out of the wall on a big door, how those
Hmm.
work. And a lot of people don't even know some of this stuff is available. It's like,
Right.
I get to open this big glass wall and then how do I screen it? Well, we have a way to do that. And that screen just disappears into the wall. So you're not looking through it when you don't need it. So,
Yeah. To your
um,
point there in the middle of what you're saying
yeah.
about switchable glass, I think that's one of those things that people might not be aware of. Do you want to talk
Yeah.
about that briefly?
Yeah, so technology is really advanced in the glass world and will continue to do so. This is switchable privacy glass.
Hmm.
It's still really expensive because it's still fairly new, but yeah, you can walk into a room, flip a light switch, and your glass goes opaque, or you flip the light switch and your glass goes clear. So we're seeing this, and we've done some really cool projects where there was this box shower in a master or a primary shower. They built this glass box, and you didn't want to be, and it was on the golf course. You
Uh-huh.
wanted to be able to see the golf course, but still, use it as a shower.
Hmm.
But you didn't want to show everybody everything, that's on the golf course. So you flip a switch, that whole box goes opaque. You get done showering, flip the switch, and then you got a view of the golf course. So
Yeah, it's very impressive tech.
yeah,
I've
pretty
seen a couple
cool.
of demos on it. Are there size limitations on those since they're still fairly new and there's a lot of technology involved? It's not just glass anymore.
Right. Yes, there are size limitations. Right now, a 5 by 10 is kind of, there's a lot of different companies that make this stuff, but we've kind of gone through and picked the best ones
Hmm.
as best we can. Like I said earlier, trying to find the best in class products. 5 by 10 is kind of right now the max size. They are working on enlarging that. And so we'll start to see that grow. But as for now, you got to work around a 5 by 10 piece of glass, largely.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
So amongst all those options, what are some popular trends in window designs for custom homes that you see in the past couple of years?
I'm seeing a lot of fixed glass, a lot of big windows, especially in Utah. We
Hmm.
we have amazing views here. So, I see architects really trying to bring the outside in, whether that's
Hmm.
through a big window or through one of these big multi-slide doors where multiple panels moved so that you can open up a room to the outside.
Yep.
So, seeing a lot of that happen. I am seeing owners really try to spend some time spend a lot more time on windows and doors because they've become such an important part of the overall structure and performance of your structure, right? Your
Hmm.
building. So it's been great because, when I first started selling windows, it was, you know, you're not going to sell brand A, B, or C here in Utah because we're too cheap. And I've seen that change
Hmm.
as time has gone on because I think I think owners are becoming more educated on, product and performance and what they want out of a house. That,
Yeah.
having products that can meet their demands and their wants has been really important.
Yeah. I mean, the simple fact of the matter is if someone is looking for a very energy efficient home, as hard as we work on the walls, the windows and doors are the weak points.
Yep. Yep.
No matter how efficient those windows and doors are, they're always going to perform, not as well as the wall
As a
around them.
wall. Right. Right.
So it's a
So
very important consideration.
it is, and that's an even more the reason to get something as good as you can because yeah, it's a window's never going to be as good as the wall,
Mhm.
full of insulation. So, but
Yeah,
everybody wants as much glass generally as they can. It's what I've seen here anyway.
that's what I see. Yep.
Yep. So,
Okay, so aside from like the UV discussion that we had earlier, what kinds of other maintenance issues should owners be aware of that they can expect over the years?
well, I think regular maintenance on windows and doors is important, just like if, it's like owning a car. You've got to get your oil changed every so often.
Hmm.
I don't think you need to maintain your operable windows as as much as you might have to on a big door. A big door, houses settle. A big door might, you get some weather, you get some dirt blowing around that might get inside your track. Just some
Hmm.
regular maintenance on particularly your big doors. If they're motorized, maybe a once a year checkup. We're starting to offer maintenance plans for owners, that we can just stop by once a year, tune everything up, make sure it's
Hmm.
running smoothly for the season, and then come back next year. Just because a lot of these homes have several doors. I mean, we're talking, you might have 9, 10, 15 sliding doors in this house, right?
Yeah.
Um, Motors, a lot of people are afraid of using a motor because it's something else that could fail. And that's
Hmm.
where we're trying to, a lot of times a motor is the right way, right? It's the right thing to do on a huge door that is really heavy.
Yeah.
They still slide good, but the panels are heavy, right?
Hmm.
So a motor might make sense in some cases. And if we can offer a way for that ultimate window experience to our customers by, hey, providing a service that, hey, we come once a year, tune this up for you, make sure it's rolling and working well.
Okay, that's good news for everyone. I think that a lot of owners that we work with are probably very interested in a maintenance plan like that, where they can trust that someone's going to be coming out to take care of things for them.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Okay, what are some of the common issues homeowners face with windows, and how can they be avoided?
If you're building a custom home, the person that you choose to help you on your journey to build this beautiful home that you're building, the guy on the ground that's actually selling the windows is a really important consideration.
Hmm.
He or she can make or break your project.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot of follow-up that has to be done. There's a lot of communication that has to happen. There's a lot of planning that has to happen. And so I look at myself not as a salesperson. I look at myself as more of a consultant that's there to kind of be your advocate as an owner through the whole process. And so I'm trying to make sure things go well for your builder. I'm trying to make sure things go well for your framer. I'm trying to make sure that, my team is prepared to deliver on when it's our time to shine and put your windows and doors in that we
Hmm.
do. And so windows, once you really dive into windows, they're very sophisticated and very complicated. And so they may seem, hey, a window's a window, but it's not. And so
Hmm.
I think owners that are looking at building these custom homes, the guy or gal that's going to be taking care of your windows and doors is a really important consideration.
Yeah, agreed. And just thinking back to our, our recent design experience together, we didn't have one conversation with you. You
Right.
know, you didn't come in and offer some advice and then you were out. We were continually touching base. You guys had multiple points where you were checking in on the size of the windows to double check that everything was kind of the same as you had seen previously, or if things had changed. And then, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you guys came out on site once the home was framed and remeasured every single window opening before you started fabricating anything. So when the window package finally arrived, things fit seamlessly.
100%. 100%. I mean, yeah, it's not a one and done kind of deal. It's you're babysitting or you're following this project all the way through
Hmm.
to completion to make sure that it's perfect. I mean, we're in pursuit of perfection, Kory, right? That's what I tell everyone
That's right.
from the people that work within our buildings to our partners to our customers. I mean, I don't know that we'll ever achieve total perfection, but we are certainly pursuing it. And we want every owner to have a perfect situation or experience with us. And that means making sure the partners along the way, builders,
Hmm.
framers, anyone else that's involved in the process has a good experience also.
Yeah, an excellent point. I mean, no project goes perfectly. That's just not the nature of them. Every home that we build is a prototype in a way,
Sure.
so there are going to be issues. And so it comes back to that team that you build, like you were saying.
Yeah, but some of the things that we can do are, we can make sure that the windows get ordered the right color, the right size, the right shape,
Hmm.
and that you get everything that you were hoping you were going to get. There are things that happen. Maybe glass could be, you could see something inside the glass that needs to be replaced, or something got damaged in shipping, but we can deliver what you've drawn in those plans. We can
Hmm.
deliver it, and that's the other thing. There's a lot of guys and gals out there that sell windows and doors that maybe not aren't as accurate in delivery of that package, and that can cause you challenges if a third of the windows or even five or six of the windows or even two of the windows are wrong, because they take a long time to get, they're very expensive. And so that's again going back to why that person you select to help you with your windows and doors is so important.
Yeah. Moving on then, what should homeowners consider when budgeting for windows in their project? I'm not sure the best way to approach that question, where you want to, put out a number range or maybe as a
Yeah,
percentage of
sure.
overall construction.
um I don't know, it seems like to me that you want a substantial window and door budget. In fact, I mean, windows and doors are usually the biggest line item on the on your ticket. When it comes to custom homes, right?
Hmm.
Because we're asking again the windows to do so much, whether it's windows and a bunch of big doors. So windows on a custom home are typically number one or number two in the overall budget. So I think making sure that you have an adequate budget, because I've seen window and door people are really good at making an inferior product sound like it's going to get the job done and really,
Yes.
really, make it happen. Whereas I wouldn't take the lowest bid ever, just because on a custom home, I've seen a lot of these professionals typically will price the window and door package out to look attractive. So
Hmm.
don't load it with the best hardware or the best options. They make it try to be as attractive price wise as possible.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm trying to put stuff in this bid that you're really going to select. So I'm upgrading the hardware. I'm going with the better glass. I'm giving you the better screens, and that's where I start. So and I do that because that's really where you end up. Whether, if you start low, when you start finding out what it is you actually have in your budget, you find out that well, I want better hardware than that, or I want better glass
Hmm.
than that. So instead of starting low and putting you in a position that's not reality, I'd rather start where I think you're really going to end up. And so I can lose jobs that way. I have lost jobs that way, but I still feel it's the safer bet that, hey, look, I'm giving you something that you're actually going to want rather than
Yeah.
pricing you something that you're not going to want. And so I share that with you just because that helps illustrate this point of make sure that, you've got a healthy window and door budget that's going to get done what you want it to do.
Yeah. I think that's really good advice. And one of the things that I think about and that I talk about with owners is the best time to try and save money on a project is in the first 5% of design.
Sure.
When you're putting the floor plan together and you're deciding where those windows go and how big they are. Um, we can talk a lot about how, you know, prioritizing privacy and having a little bit less window in certain spaces can actually be a really great thing.
Yep.
And that does save you a lot of money on the window package as well. And then for those other areas like the great room or whatnot, where you have the monumental view that you want to capture, that's where you prioritize the spend.
Yep. Yep, for sure. And I would just add to that just a little quick point is that big operating doors are much more expensive than a fixed glass wall. So
Hmm.
the more doors you have, the more expensive the project is when it comes to
Yep.
windows and doors. So anyway,
Yeah, and that actually extends to multiple parts of the home as well. We were working on some multi-sliders together that were, 11 feet tall and 25 feet wide. Very large, open, operable area. Um, and in one of those, we actually decided as a team to put a post down the middle because the steel beam over that door was, I think, 3 feet deep or something. It was just a massive piece of structure. And so
yep,
by incorporating this small structural element right in the middle, it really didn't interrupt the view very much. There were already mullions at each, division of the door as it telescopes to the side. Um, but it made a huge difference in the size of that beam. That can bring down the cost as well.
for sure. So that's something that it's a good point you bring up. Something that I think owners don't really understand is that, these doors have these header sill deflection requirements.
Hmm.
You can't have your head or sill above these doors deflect more than an eighth of an inch. You can imagine if you've got this 25-foot wide door and your header deflects below
Yep.
that eighth inch mark, then trying to open these panels with a sagged header, it's not going to work very well.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so there is additional cost and structure that has to be engineered and accounted for in these homes to be able to produce that 25-foot opening.
Yeah. So the beam overhead that door had to get, I think, twice as strong
Right.
to
Right.
reach that requirement, just so that the door would operate nice and smoothly for many years, which is
Yep.
obviously something that we want to have and we need to have. Um, so cutting the overall size of that door in half, just with a little post, still a lot of glass on both sides, saved a ton of money with like this cascade effect through the structure.
Sure. Sure. Well, and that's one of those things that it's like, hey, we want to, cut some costs, but we want to spend it, like you said, in the great room area. We're not going to put that little post in between in the great room. We're going to make that door
Hmm.
huge. And so we'll spend the money on the structure and the door in the great room, but in
Yep.
some of the other areas of the house, that post would be fine. Would be
Yep.
fine.
That was a secondary space, like a
Yeah.
basement space, if I recall.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there a significant difference in the cost of one 25-foot operable wall versus two 12-foot walls? Was there cost savings there as well, or was it pretty similar?
They're pretty similar because it's the same glass square footage, and a
Hmm.
lot of these doors they're custom anyway, so you're not really using standard sizes in those types of applications, so you don't gain anything really. But so it's very similarly priced that way. But the great savings is really in that structure, that beam you're
Good.
talking about that it'd have to span.
Is there anything that homeowners should keep in mind regarding installation of windows in steep or uneven terrain?
Well, I think the structure will provide a place for that window and door to go. It makes it more difficult for us to work around the steep and hilly terrain to install it, right? We've got to get these
Hmm.
cool big windows and doors in, and so sometimes terrain can cause us challenges when we're trying to use a lift or scaffolding, but generally these products are all designed to work within their opening, and hopefully you're looking out a really pretty window up against a steep incline that's got a bunch of pine trees on it or something out those windows, but really doesn't affect things too much other than preparation and being able to install the windows and doors in those places.
What advice would you give to someone just starting their custom home journey regarding windows and doors, aside from anything else we've already talked about today?
Well, I would say go for it. You know, capture everything you're hoping to capture in this. This is something that you worked hard for, and make it awesome. And we're here to help you make it awesome.
Okay. Anything else you want to share about your products and services?
No, I think well, I guess the last thing I would say is, you know, we're really just trying to be a great business, right? We're trying to really be the leader in windows and doors, and we want to be somebody
Hmm.
that you can partner with. We're partnering with you for the life of your project. You know, we're not going anywhere. We answer our phone, we call you back, you know, we're available. And really, I've found as I've dealt myself in working with other businesses that aren't in windows and doors, I found myself, I think the status quo out there is poor performance, poor communication,
Hmm.
not great service. We're all having to fight to get what we need done. That's not who we are. You're gonna be able to call me if you're gonna have my staff members' numbers. You're gonna be able to call. We're designed to support and help you and be there for you, and we really do. We really do
Hmm.
that. So I think that's important in this day and age, that there are companies out there that run good businesses that answer when you call or call you back, and are attentive to help you accomplish what you want to accomplish instead of being ghosted.
Yeah. Yeah. Premium service leads to premium homes, right?
Yep, for sure. For sure.
Okay. Well, Jim, thank you so much for joining us today on Around the Drafting Table. Really enjoyed speaking with you and really enjoyed working with you on these past projects that we've done together. And I look forward to working with you in the future.
Sounds good, Kory. Me too, man. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for everyone who joined in today and is listening in. And until next time, this has been Around the Drafting Table.